Which is what happens.
Speaking of drinking, welcome to Flight for Flavor again.
Welcome.
We're talking about alcohol today, so we thought it was fitting that we would sit and drink wine in a bar. Because that's what we do.
That's what we do.
That's what we do. So we're having, I don't know if you can grab the thing there, this is Le Dauphin. This is a Côte d'Aron. Côte d'Aron. It is very inexpensive, but light and fruity, kind of dry. It's gonna go really well. Okay, stop there.
Okay.
Okay, for those of you who are on the video, on the audio, you're probably wondering why I'm pausing. But she was like, like stroking the bottle.
Stroking the bottle. Spanning the bottle.
Anyways, I will put a link to this lovely wine. I will look for a link for it. If it's not available at a local wine store, at least you'll be able to find it through winesearcher.com is one of my good go-tos. But here in this restaurant, we're at Ripe Restaurant South End of Sudbury, it is $37 a bottle.
You made me blush.
$37. That's all it takes.
Yeah, I know,
right? Anyways, $37 a bottle.
Wow.
Like, that's ridiculous. So, that's $37 Canadian for all my American friends, which I think is pretty reasonable. Okay, so one of the reasons I wanted to do this is that before I went to Rio, I had the opportunity to actually tour Niagara College down in Niagara on the Lake. And I had originally just reached out to them because I wanted to go and see the new distillery that they just opened last fall, which I thought was kind of cool. And I reached out to a few friends of mine because up here in Northern Ontario, it's not like I can just zip down to go get whatever. But I heard that their very first product that the students made was an eau de vie. And supposedly it was flying off the shelves. Wow. So I thought, okay, how do I get that? So I made a few little requests, and our friend Jimmy, remember Niagara Selfie King, yay! Cheers to Jimmy. Jimmy managed to get us a couple bottles. So if you don't remember, if you watched our episode when we were doing the Niagara Wine Festivals episode, Jimmy was there with us. Helping us wander around and showing us around some of that first night that we were there. So Jimmy actually volunteers for a lot of the Niagara events down in that area. So almost everybody who goes to these events actually ends up meeting Jimmy. Yeah. So he managed to get us a couple of bottles of eau de vie, and so I was intrigued enough to go and check out this new distillery process because distilleries are so hot right now.
Right.
Everyone's making gin, everyone's making vodka, and I really wanted to see the process and what they're teaching students. And one of the cool things is Niagara College in Southern Ontario is the only place in the world that actually employs a full-time distiller, a full-time winemaker, and a full-time brewer on site to teach the students.
I wish this was like 20 years in the past before I was a wine rep and a beer rep.
Yeah,
right.
You get the crash courses, and and as much as I chose not to take the W sets that's the different designations you can get up to be a sommelier, and I chose to take that money and use it to travel to go and see the wineries, and that was my choice to do so. But if there was an institution, something like the Canadian Food and Wine Institute, which is within the Niagara College, or something similar that I could have gone to take courses or programs to be able to produce the stuff that I love so much, I think that maybe it made a little bit of a detour in my career path.
Me too.
And I'm thinking about all these other students who are maybe always dreamed of opening a brewery, right? Or dreamed of opening a distillery or something like that. And it's not just a matter of sitting in your basement playing around with kicks any longer. You're actually learning at the distillery program, first of all, is a graduate certificate. Right. Meaning it is something you take after you've already had your degree into chemistry or other programs. So you're going in as this is a definite path that I want to be in. Right. So all of the students there are super serious in what they want to do.
And I mean, it gives you the option too if you want to be a manager of the place or an owner of a brewery, or I mean, you go through and you see the grassroots of it all, and then you get to see that. I remember when I was a wine rep, we had a great chance. And is it okay if I give a shout out to the name of the
by all means.
Churchill Cellars, and Chris Churchill is owned it. I'm not sure if he still does, but he was down in Toronto, and we had the opportunity to travel to the actual wineries that we represented. Had a chance to go to California, Australia, these places where we actually sold the product. And until we actually got to see the huge blades that crush the wine, the millions of cases that lined the walls of a warehouse, the huge oak barrels that we're, I mean, there's nothing more romantic than standing in front of oak barrels or
I
a
love
wine
that smell.
or the vinery, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like the vines and the whole vineyard and stuff like that. I'm making my own dictionary tonight. That's the best part. So.
We were going to start a new segment. What was it?
That's what I was talking about.
Useless facts.
Yeah.
Now you can add a new one.
The
Stacey's
binary.
new words.
The binary.
For those of you who don't know that, she used to go on road trips. She's the one that sits in the back seat, and then she completely interrupts the question because she knows something that she needs to tell us right now.
There's no reason. No reason. It's like, for instance, no two sunsets or sunrises are exactly the same.
Because, we really needed to hear that at 4 o'clock in the afternoon on the way back from Siberia.
But it was funny.
But it was funny.
Yeah.
It was funny because she felt like she had to stop what she was thinking and saying to tell us.
Because I was in a mid-sentence and I went, total random thought, but did you know about carrots or something? And then I came back into it. But yeah. No, but I actually find that whole lifestyle of a winery and a vineyard and all of that is very romantic. And when I had a chance, I actually got a chance to meet Robert Mondavi before he passed, and him and his wife. And I'll tell you that when he talks about our culture and lifestyle, that it's all the same. It is all the same. It changed my whole life, basically, because you see that his whole life was spent watching these vines grow from like 25 to 75 to like there were vines that were 100, 200 years old sitting in his vineyard, and it's like you sit there and you go, wow, what up? And I mean, to have that, I rotate my life backwards. If there was a program like that, I would have jumped into that then.
So to give you the behind the scenes on how this whole tour and episode came about, our Flying for Flavor podcast friend, Niagara Selfie King himself, Jimmy Russell, was posting on Instagram one day about this new School Spirits brand of small batch eau de vie that was being produced by the students at the new distillery at the Canadian Food and Wine Institute within Niagara College. And I was so intrigued by that, and I've always wanted to, eventually we will be doing an entire episode on eau de vie, but I really wanted to go down and see what this entire learning process is like, as much as I can go to wineries and distilling, and we had a couple of culinary schools up here in Northern Ontario. I never took part in these programs myself, and I really wanted to see how things were working. So I got some contact information from Jimmy, and he introduced me to his friend Dean Craig Udale, who is of course the Dean of the Canadian Food and Wine Institute within Niagara College. And he introduced us to the new distillery and got a tour with Jacqueline Harriman. And that was just the start of our full day. And yes, I got a bottle of eau de vie that I can sample for future episodes. So here's our tour, with Dean Craig, with Jacqueline, and of course our podcast friend, Jimmy Russell.
So we designed this building. It was difficult because we've done the brew program for a while, done the wine program for a long while. So we learned a lot of lessons about working within the alcohol industry, because this is a fully commercial operation. Yes. So we do have the same rules. But at the same time, having its students integrated into that and still have it in a commercial entity. Now, the one thing about this operation was, of course, we own a very small, very low production. That wasn't our goal, and very hands-on for the students. But it's an expensive building, so this building is explosion-proof. Wow. So everything from the light fixtures to the wall sockets to all the sort of mechanical things in here are very specialized, and there is no electrical or there is no exposed electrical. So our pumping is pneumatic, everything is, you can't even have a laptop in here. It's a unique space in that element. And we did design it in a way where everything was exposed. So this is not by chance. We wanted people to see that the soft water was going this way and the seeds going that way, and everything is going in different directions. That's all part of the plan. That it is so people can actually see what's happening and what the sort of engineering is at the distillery. Distilling is also very unique for obvious reasons because of the process, but each of the sort of area of fermented sciences is very unique in timing. So for school, it's very rigid. So school, from my academic side, you're looking, okay, so I got these kids for so many hours per week, class time can only be for so long, teachers are only here for so long, but distilling doesn't care, or brewing doesn't care. Is that so? So I schedule the guys in the brewery for 3 hours, even though I know I've got to be there for 9 to sort of be there from start to finish to sort of watch the process go through. So it's always a big challenge to sort of be able to see things happen commercially and from an engineering point of view, but they're in class and they only can be here for so long, and they need to be able to sort of see what they need to see and accomplish things, but it's not a true commercial environment in the same way as a regular working winery would be. Especially here, this one's especially unique. The winery is probably a little more of a working winery in the sense of how it runs, and we'll see that. The brewery is very, very unique when you see that. That's crazy because it's so unique in how it's sort of set up as a school. And we learn lessons from the brewery that we translate into here. So I'll let Jackie talk a little bit about the equipment and sort of what the students do. But really, this is a sort of a result of some of the work that we did in the brewery and the winery over the years, and we knew what worked, we did what size things needed to be. I remember when I was talking to the guys in Italy. Our stills are custom made by a company in Italy.
Beautiful.
And I told him the size, and then he said, "What's it for?" And I told him it's for a commercial, and he goes, and of course, in very broken Italian accent, I will not repeat. But it's going like, no, this is for people's homes. Like this size, he goes, they make them for people's homes. This size, they make them for commercial. So I tried to explain to him we were teaching, and he's like,
we don't want to make like 5,000 bottles at a time.
No, absolutely not. And so I'll let Jackie talk a little bit about the sort of the mechanics of what's happening here and what the students sort of do, basically.
Absolutely, yeah. So we basically start the first semester with 1 day a week in the distillery where they're learning to operate the pumps. These here are mash tanks.
Yep.
So we take everything from grain to glass, or grain to glass. But primarily it starts here. We're working with the grain, they're adding their enzymes, preparing it, removing the liquid from the grain. So some facilities have grain on distillation capabilities, and we have grain off. So we extract all of the fermentable sugars from what we're working with. And then on this side here, these are the fermentation tanks. So we'll generally have our fermentations go anywhere from 3 to 5 days. From there, the students are pumping straight into our stills. So we have 5 different stills.
They are very pretty, these stills.
They're beautiful.
They're pretty beautiful.
They're pretty.
Still shiny.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
They're gorgeous. We're pretty excited. There's that moment I remember, it was like literally like Christmas because it came in the crates and we like pried open and you just like, it's like the angel saying, like, look at these things.
Yeah, so we have 3 different still types. We have 2 polyvalent stills. These ones are just diverse. You can produce just about anything in them. We're primarily focused on gin and our absinthe distillations in these stills. They can handle it a little bit better. And then we have our 2 whiskey stills here. So just a traditional shape for somatic reflux to control the flavors that are coming through. And then here, center stage, we have our hybrid pot still. So this allows us to take spirits up to 95% alcohol. So no joking, no, yeah. So we have a column here. This is a packed column. Gives some added reflux. In larger production settings, we've used packed columns with walls use plates to separate the compounds in the distillate. And then it comes down here through this condenser and out through the cart for collection. So we use steam to heat our product. And yeah, right now the students, they're in the best part of things. So as I mentioned, the first semester is a little bit more theoretical. And by the second semester, they're getting a lot of independence to create their own product.
So it's little things that you're teaching them all of the basics and the theories and the science part behind it at the beginning. And then as much as it may not make sense to them immediately, by the time they come into the distillery and they're getting to do the hands-on work, things are starting to make sense. It clicks for them, right?
Absolutely.
I think that's just the learning process of it. And you don't get the same absorption of the information and learning it, I think, if you were just doing it in books and hearing all the terminology and everything. You really need to see it
And
happen.
tasting off the stills, their palates have changed so much.
Oh, yeah.
They start off in a sensory class, tasting different spirits. But yeah, when you're in the class, you're talking about boiling points and the different compounds coming off until they can taste them off still. That's when things solidify.
See that light in their eyes.
Yeah, and then a huge focus on developing their own recipes. So this is where like the individuality of each student kind of comes through their previous.
I think I was just talking about that lunch today. I think I was talking about I have some ideas for my own spirits.
Anyways, we'll talk about that later.
Probably already know, but we also are the world's first full certified program in cannabis growing here at campus. So we do have cannabis growing in here in our greenhouses as well. And so yeah, so we launched that not this past fall, the fall before, and huge attention over that.
I can just imagine.
And it's going to ramp up because when we launched, it was a big deal. We had media from all over the world come to check it out. But when edibles get launched this year, when everything moves through the Senate and the regulations get put into place, that's where things are going to take off. Anywhere from 82 to 85% of the business is edibles. Right, so you go to like Colorado, California, anywhere that thing, it's all edibles. Like no one wants to smoke it.
Oh, I don't know that myself, but I used to work with most of my staff who are 20-somethings.
Yeah.
So they fill me in on what's hot and what's not, right?
That's where the money is, and so we have already started to ramp up our food research area. We've looked into mimicking. It is the Wild West because 100% of the research to this point has been medicinal. And there are certain aspects that they look for in that sort of area, and it's really about cause and effect and sort of literally the medicinal purposes of what's being grown and how it's being ingested. Whereas when you get into edibles, the game changes, right? And so it's first of all, it's recreational, so the focus is different. When you talk about food, then you get into whole sensory analysis and other sort of aspects of how it's being used. The real big money, so right now, so Canopy Growth, which is the biggest company in the world right now, is partially stationed here in Niagara and other parts of Canada. But they, the big companies that are getting in are like Coke and Pepsi. And the reason being is that you're going to see the growth area in sort of energy drink style production, right? So you're going to see the Red Bulls of cannabis, right? So there'll be some sort of what I would call sort of fad work and interest work and sort of cannabis-infused alcohol. But I think you're going to find that the real big money in sales is going to be in cannabis drinks that are like non-alcoholic cannabis drinks, right?
So of course, the Niagara College area is known for its wine. So the winery, the teaching winery, was one of the first things, of course, that they wanted to incorporate into the college. And it has been one of the most popular places because, of course, some of the best grapes and terroir is actually found in the Niagara Escarpment. And students are not only getting to see the grapes being grown, everything from the time things are planted, the entire process right up until bottle. They're getting to be small batch, hands-on, different styles, not only to learn the exact process, but also to be able to maybe inspire some future award-winning winemakers. So I had a chance to, of course, check out the winery while I was there, because you know me, I never miss a winery.
Yeah, so this is the winery that we opened up in 2009. When they started the program, they actually didn't have any winery. They just actually worked into other wineries. They produced their first wine, VQA level wine, in 2001. So the very first wine, you can imagine, the very first wine that they produced won the best wine at Cuvée in 2001, the best white wine in Canada for 2001. And that really launched kind of the program at that point. And so since then, we made a lot of changes. I'm getting into my 10th year now since I've been here. And so we've really been able to ramp things up, I guess you could say. So some of the biggest changes we made, and we're standing beside one of them, is we started our sparkling program 4 years ago.
Okay.
And that was really right at the peak. So what we do here on the academic side is sort of, we have a program advisory group that we work with, and part of their role is really sort of guide us to make sure we're on track with what's happening in the industry. And really about 5 years ago, what they were telling us was pretty simple, was that there was two areas they really wanted us to sort of expand in. And one was our viticulture work, meaning our vineyard work, trying to get them more hands-on as possible. But the other piece was sparkling, was that it was starting to really take off in Ontario at that point. And continues now.
It is, yes.
But that was really at the stage where things were, everyone was really sort of getting on board. There was more facilities available to people to do it. It was sort of the purview of some of the bigger places for a long time, but then for some of the facilities that sort of started to show up where people could collectively process together, but we needed to have it on site. So we can now produce a traditional method sparkling here on campus. We have the machinery to do it. We can process everything. We age up to 4 years. Our Blanc de Blanc we just launched was 42 months in bottle. So we're able to have a full, so the Blanc de Blanc, for example, was hand-picked, processed, the assemblage, bottled, and then 4 years later finished
Nice.
and dosage and corked all by students. And so this has been probably one of the biggest changes we've been able to sort of have. But if we sort of, it's a little tight, we'll go this way. Typical winery, there's just tons of stuff in your way. So
Okay.
this series here is really more.
That's part of the ambiance.
I know, right? We just put that up for you.
You have to walk through like a car wash.
So we're constantly shifting and changing. This is more of our production area. We have a little bit more of our, we'll say, our sort of educational salon in the back here. And as you can see, some of our corking and bottling equipment for sparkling. That's our where we freeze the bottles in here. So some of this is all custom made that we've done. So these are 90-liter fermenter, jacketed fermenters. So we can produce really small amounts for the students. But what's interesting about these is all the hookups and everything are exactly the same as the big tanks.
Smart.
Right? So like this is how you have a hose, this is how you get the filter on, right? You go out there and like, okay, we got it. So, but they still do carboy work and they still do small bucket work and they're still working, but they sort of work their way up through this. But they also produce ice wine, sparkling. They do 2 different reds, 2 different whites. So they do a lot of different production as they work through. But we've been slowly adding different pieces of the puzzle. So unlike most wineries, we kind of have a little of everything in here. We have like every kind of wood from all over the world. We have a variety of sort of programs in here. We try and produce as many different wines as we can.
Makes sense.
Right? Because we although we sell our wine and the wine, the money from that helps us buy stuff like this. But really what we're trying to do is give them as much experience as possible. So our portfolio as a 4,000 case winery, our portfolio is massive. In reference to how big our wine really is, right? So we're producing maybe 20 to 25 different labels a year, simply just because we're trying to sort of show them not just how to do Chardonnay, we do 5 different styles of Chardonnay, right? So we do 2 different Rieslings, we try and get an array of blends and single varietals on both sides of the coin. We recently launched our Underground series, so we're doing orange wine and traditional whole cluster berry and ground wine.
Wow. I love berry.
Yeah, we're
I've
doing.
episode of berry before. That's just what I love. Yeah.
We're doing, as I mentioned, sparkling, ice wine. We're the only school in the world that does ice wine at the school level from start to finish. So they're out here doing morning picking,
Nice.
right, doing the traditional ice wine pick. But they do everything. So they from right to putting the wax on the bottle at the end. So those are the pieces of the puzzle that are unique. We'll sneak into the next room here. So a little classroom in the back over here where they're able to do all their lab work. Just like any place, it's just everywhere. They can see,
Hello, cider cans.
yeah, those are for our cider. And then we come back to our here and we'll do lab work, sampling. And like I said, the cardboard work being done as well. So a little of everything, and right up to the tank work, so depending on what they're working on. How you doing? Good. So what happens is that, you know, they're producing different wines, but then of course then they're back there going to be not only maintaining them, whether it's a punch down or stir or sort of checking it, but they're also doing lab work on them all the way through the process, and then they actually do a final sensory analysis as a group on their finished product at the end of the trip. So what they do in the wine program is actually 3 full semesters in school. Then they do 1 full semester during crush, during vintage, right, where they go to a winery and work. and then they come back for one more semester to finish.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, so the third term, for example, they work more on things like cellar operations and trying to get them at least as best we can ready for a harvest season. And really when they come back, it's more fine tuning when they come back. They look at some sort of high level style of wine production, more technical aspects of sensory, a lot of sort of finishing work, and they look at the business side too. So they're looking at what happens in the tasting room, what happens in winery operations and management. So they need to look at the business side as well.
Especially after they've had some experience like being in the business part of the environment.
Well, they see it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, and then all of a sudden like things start to make sense, and then now they can see there's possible changes or little tweaks and stuff that they can do to the process maybe to make things easier.
Yeah, and we do, and some students do, we do have a full year wine business management program, a graduate program.
Oh, okay.
So there are students that are really sort of looking for the full experience. They come back for an extra year, and that one is solely focused on business. So
Okay,
that's
so that would be an additional. You would probably have to
2 whole semesters.
Okay, so that's a prereq. You need to have the regular wine program.
Either this program or a degree somewhere
Yeah.
else before to enter that program. That's
Okay.
what we call my grad program.
Yep.
And so that one is like financial analytics. They learn how to build and how wineries are put together and built. They learn the whole business process, rules and regulations, sales and distribution, marketing and promotion. But they also do a business capstone project where they work with the industry on everything from developing new social media campaigns to understanding different sales process across borders, depending on what they want to work on. But we get people that come from other business areas of the world. They're not necessarily wine people per se, but they're business oriented or have a love for wine, so they come and take that program to sort of better understand it. That one? So our winemaker Gavin is interesting. So he graduated from our program in 2011, stayed on as our, had experience actually before he came here, followed the vine, so to speak, and had been in places like Tasmania and South Africa before, just doing harvest and so on. Came to the program, graduated in 2011. He stayed on as an assistant winemaker for 3 years and then became our winemaker. He was recently rewarded the Newfound Scholarship, which is the top agricultural scholarship in Canada. And so they have about a dozen scholarships in the country, and they literally travel the world for 2.5 years, learning everything that's happening in wine and viticulture and agriculture, focused on the wine industry around the world. So he's, in the last 2 years, he's been to everywhere from learning about vine growth in the greenhouses of the Netherlands to he recently was in South Africa for a couple of weeks. He's been in Italy, France, Germany, everywhere in the world. All the sort of, and always in California as well. So it's a combination of conference, high technical conferences, working at wineries. Just an amazing experience he's had. He's been able to bring his wife and his little boy with him too. So it's kind of fun. Perfect. Yeah. But the place he's been going is just mind blowing what he's been able to do. He just recently came back. Mostly the one was in South Africa. So he was doing harvest. Out there. So he's working with a school down there. So he actually did also some presentations and courses for them. So he presented to their students about Canadian wines, about Niagara College.
Of course, a proper Canadian school would not be complete without an on-site brewery. And the craft beers that the Niagara College team and students are producing are not just award-winning, but their on-site brewery is always popular, as I noticed when I was there during my tour. There are not just students, but visitors coming at any time to come pick up some to restock. And so not only are some of their best brews constantly flying off the shelves because they are being acknowledged worldwide, but they're even producing things like this virgin craft brewed 100% non-alcohol beer that is brewed 0.0%, not the 0.5, and it actually tastes like a really good non-alcoholic beer. So I had a chance to tour the brewery with Craig so he can show me what the students are learning and what the behind-the-scenes facilities look like.
Now, the other thing that we do to choose sort of with us is we do Niagara Cherry Pilsner with cherries from Vineland. And for Mothers Against Drunk Driving, we did a non-alcoholic lager.
Wow.
which is 0.00. So this is not a 0.5. This is a true, Matt wanted a true non-alcoholic beer.
Lovely.
That is actually brewed. So this is the other thing that people don't realize is a lot of non-alcoholic beer is not actually brewed in the same process. It's done differently. It's kind of like making Coke.
Okay.
So this one is truly actually brewed in a brewery.
Nice.
But we patented the process to sort of to create it in that way.
Some of that at home. I have a couple of relatives
So
who don't
this
drink anymore.
at the U.S. Beer Championships in the non-alcohol category, it's won gold like 3 of the last 5 years, something like that, against producers from all over the world. So it's really actually quite good for a non-alcoholic craft.
Yeah. Good.
But let's take a quick peek just to see what it's like. So this was really the extension. This is really the student side. You can see by the size of the fermenters. These are our mini brew houses. They're 1 keg at a time.
Cute they are.
They're literally 1 keg at a time.
Wow.
Right? So this is where they get to learn. Now out there on the board, so I was saying out there on the board when you've got like about 20 beers, so whatever they're learning, you cut every week or so, you go out to on that list or something different.
New. Okay.
Right, so they're working on stouts this week. Well, you can go and try. There'll be like 5 different stouts on the go. Stuff like that. So, hey George, how are you? No, we're fine. Yeah, no, we're good. Yeah, we're just taking a quick peek at the equipment. We're fine. Okay, thanks.
Beautiful day.
I know it is. So the other thing about our brewery, which is unique, is that we produce about 200 different beers, completely different beers a year. So we don't have just some malt, we have like every type of malt in the world. We don't have just a few different types of hop, we have like every type of hop in the world, every strain of yeast. Like, so they have to produce every type of beer on the, there's roughly about 35 different sort of categories of beer, and then you've got subcategories within those categories. So at the end of the day, there's so many different things they have to learn that we have to have the ingredients for them to do that in space. So this is all the sort of small production, but they do everything in-house. So they bottle, you see bottle over there, they can. All those cans are done 2 at a time, and this little guy right here. This is our sort of original 5-barrel system. Those are all different hops. Yep.
That's very cool.
And sort of the entire place in general is very unique in the beer world, right? It's sort of set up for training. Yeah. And I shouldn't have turned George down so fast because I don't know. Oh no, this is open. Okay. This is the best college fridge in the world.
Oh.
So if we want to talk the best walk-in,
goodies.
this is the best college fridge on the world
This is
right
going to
here.
be the best outtake ever to post on the Instagram. All of you gotta come and look at this. Come and look at this.
So most college fridges have a few beers. We have a lot of beer in our college fridge.
That is awesome.
This is the envy of all 11,000 college students out
You
here.
just need a few little folding chairs in here,
Yeah,
right?
perfect.
And as long as they can access their Wi-Fi to order a pizza, they're done.
Yeah,
right?
they're perfect.
Sweet. That's amazing.
Yeah, so an amazing place to see when it's in action. So this 5 days a week, obviously during class.
Yep.
This is what we call continuing intake. So there's 20 students start every term or every semester, and 20 students graduate. And it doesn't stop. There's no break for summer or anything. They do 4 straight semesters.
Right.
So basically every semester 20 start, 20 graduate, 20 start, 20 graduate. So there's always 80 students here.
So it's always beer.
And there's always beer. Hearing.
The experience of dining, in my opinion, is more than just food and drink. It is also the palate and the entire process of where that food comes from. So being able to provide the students with not only a teaching environment to teach them how to prepare foods for the hospitality industry and how to serve it, they're actually getting to work with other departments such as their on-site greenhouses, where they're actually getting to dictate or suggest particular things to be planted, grown, harvested, and then served in their on-site restaurant. So the students are actually getting a chance to learn the entire complete process from the time that a seed is planted right up until that food ends up on your plate. I think it's probably one of the most rounded, complete learning experiences and doing it that way.
Oh, nice.
So we recently built this. So smokers, meat processing, see the dry aging cabinet, charcuterie cabinet here,
Get a good shot of that because I need to do an entire steak episode again because people aren't listening to me. Hello, Dry AJ.
Our charcuterie cabinet
Yep.
had some fenocchios, which is a pork fennel sausage that's going there. We made some camembert yesterday. So that's just starting and it's drying. So it gets inoculated and it takes about 2-3 weeks to age. But we bring everything in, the handles in whole, and we process everything here. So theater here, you have a beautiful kitchen down there. This is a 120-seat cooking theater, so like a
That's
like
TV show.
TV show, right?
Yes.
Yeah, beautiful.
That's like a whole Rachel Ray episode right there.
Yeah,
With
it's
the
a
meat
great space.
slicer.
And we have like high definition cameras. You got the sort of in the pot view. There's a big screen right there for showing. It's a fantastic
So do you do all that
space.
kind of stuff? Because I mean, I think that's one of the things. All of this means every person I've talked to that's done cooking classes and stuff. A lot of them always anticipate that they're going to do a vlog. They're going to do this. They're going to do that. And I know from trying to do, even myself in my own kitchen, trying to do the top down.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
And
So we have this set up. So there's literally a 360 high def camera, 2 in here and 1 there.
Yeah.
So it's like almost like a mini TV studio. We have a control center over there. You can just sort of see it off to the right hand
Yep.
side. So they can actually control the cameras and zoom in and out and get right into the pot, just like a TV show, all without moving, standing right there doing it.
I mean, they're going to be all spoiled now, so they're going to think it's always like that when they leave, right?
So this quickly to our restaurant that I love it so much. So the restaurant's open 12 months of the year. It's a business.
Yes.
So the one thing we have that's kind of unique, we call it learning enterprises. So the winery, the brewery, the distillery, greenhouse, the spa, the restaurant, they're all individual businesses.
Okay.
So they run separately. They have their own managers, and so the people that work in them are students. But it's not like a class,
Okay.
right? But you have to be a student to work there.
Oh, okay.
You see what I'm
so,
saying?
So that was the difference, I think, even at Cambridge, it was more about being student-led, student-run, but I think the school still kind of ran oversee everything.
Yeah.
So
So this is like we're open for dinner tonight.
Yep.
You know, regular restaurant, like a local restaurant.
Yep.
And then, but the students are here working, but then we have a management staff that oversees the restaurant. But it's such a beautiful spot because you get to see the whole campus in here.
So you learn how to set a table.
Yes, you do all that.
All
sort of
that
stuff.
fun stuff, right?
Yep. Actually, Sarah there, I think, is our manager of the operation.
So the students that are here, that would be in the food program that would learn, even for beverage service, like wine service, an example.
Yes.
So someone learning how to do proper wine service, right? And
Yes.
not just the glassware, but how to pour, how to present, all that kind of stuff. So that's on the food side.
That's on our hospitality side.
Okay.
But on the hospitality side, so Sarah has classes in here, and then there's shadowing and training that goes on. So the students you see here are hospitality students that are now, they can come here and work as well.
Yeah, that's good.
It's a job, right? A legitimate job for them to work all year round, literally.
Good. I just think about all these people I know who I've heard of who suddenly decided, almost like pre-retirement, that they were going to start a winery, right? And a lot of times they would just buy the property, create the vision and the label, and they would hire a winemaker to do all the stuff. Well, and now there's a program where you can actually learn to do the winemaking process yourself. You can still hire a winemaker, but I think how much different your own winery or your wine production can be, knowing that you also understand the fermentation process and all the different. I mean, I just think it's such a different world that these things are available now.
It is, and you can see the passion and the people that are actually involved in it. I had a chance also, being a beer rep, I had a chance to go through that process as well, but we were talking about it last year. I went away on a beer, food, and wine tour of Belgium and Germany, and the people are scientists. They're actual chemists and scientists that are involved in making beer and wine.
They're
and
not
it's
all
at-
hipsters wearing plaid shirts, people.
No, they're so into, and they're like, we can't give you. It's like top secret, the formulas, and they call them formulas. No, the formula for this is this.
Yes.
And it's very particular. And they said, oh, we threw some orange rind into that one, and to see what happens. And we had some fresh berries, so we threw it in there. you know, and to think about it, right? It's fascinating, the whole process and how their minds work, and I just find that amazing.
It is. And one of the things that I think that I liked about is because it combines that the Canadian Food and Wine Institute within the college, that area really essentially it's like a school for our show.
Yeah, like
Right? So you get the wine, the drinks, they teach all the different processes and the different foods and wines from different cultures. And then even the food stuff, they really teach the students about using the foods and sourcing them within with certain radius, using the local stuff, that's a big deal. And then just like other culinary programs do that we have seen in the past, they actually have a restaurant on site. So you can actually enrobe yourself in the entire experience where you can go to Benchmark Restaurant and have a meal prepared by the students. You can go to their on-site their wine visitor center, where anything that they've produced in any of their distillery, their brewery, or their winery, you can actually buy on site to take home. But things sell out quickly. But you can go for tours and tastings. There's different events throughout the year that are actually within Niagara on the Lake, and just like going to any other winery on a tour or a specific event, Niagara College themselves are also listed as one of the participants in a lot of these events. So it's just something you can actually get to go to.
amazing. Yeah, it's now April, and our code for this month is sunny days.
Because
I picked it.
she picked it. That's one of the perks of being here for the beginning of the month, is that you get to pick the code for the thing. So the VIP lounge, of course, is where we put our behind the scenes stuff, the outtakes that Stacy doesn't want me to post publicly, but I'll put them in the VIP lounge.
Go right ahead. It's kind of fun.
It's kind of fun. I'll do some online recipe demos. I know Stacy will do some. I'll do some. I'll take little clips here and there from videos. Sometimes if I want to show somebody something, but it only relates to people who know us, maybe through the VIP lounge or something, I'll post live directly to the lounge to update somebody on those people on things before I'll do it on the actual Facebook page or Instagram feed. And then of course we have contests like every month, every time I go someplace or one of us goes someplace, we usually tend to bring something back just to give away to one of our lucky VIPs. So we're hoping that the VIP group grows and it becomes kind of like a little Flying for Flavor family, where we all kind of know each other and we're sharing things. And that's the only thing that now that we've kind of got this rhythm going, I think my next step is I want to see our VIP people sharing some things, like here's what because you could also post in the VIP lounge. So if you have a cool recipe you want to share with somebody, if you tried one of the wines that we recommended in an episode,
We'd love to hear it.
yeah, that's the place to do that. You don't have to worry about, I want to share it with everybody.
It's interactive.
You're sharing it within this private group, so it's only people who are fans of the show who are in this little bubble
Absolutely.
that get to do it, and I think that's part of the fun.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we had to stop for a second just before we cheers, but the wings are here.
Yeah.
So one of the things I liked about Ripe was I was telling Stacy about how their chicken wings, they actually put them in their pizza ovens.
Yes.
Was that not cool?
Yeah.
So it's a little bit better for you.
Yeah.
Aside from the fact that it's like this one's drowned in garlic butter and Parmesan.
That's okay. And this one,
Those are the duck
those
wings.
are the duck wings.
I know. So those are duck wings with the chili sauce.
The chili sauce is so yummy
I
looking.
know. So we're gonna get some extra napkins, and
We wish there was smell-o-vision.
We're getting hands deep today.
We are. But in the meantime, don't forget to subscribe and rate us. And on iTunes and your favorite iPodcast. Or your podcast, sorry. Dick!
We're hoping that by 2020, Stacy will know what all of the names of the podcast players are.
And there's this one. And there's this one.
I will start. You have to watch the Christmas episode.
You do, definitely. But, rate and subscribe us on iTunes or your favorite podcast player, and subscribe to your YouTube channel if you have. Yes, perfect. Please.
Okay.
And cheers.
Let's eat.
Let's eat. Cheers. Cheers.
Thanks so much for watching this video. We love putting it together. It's so much fun. All of our favorite things, good food, good drinks, a lot of travel talk, and we put it all together in one fun show. So make sure you follow us here, click on the videos below, follow, subscribe, and find us on your favorite podcast player. We'll see you at our next trip.